Hey there, comic book fans. Today I thought I'd bring you another review, but of a modern comic this time. Jimmy's Bastards #1 by Aftershock, and I liked it. I put it on my pull list. Replaced, Jackpot was another Aftershock comic I was buying that just ended this month, so I figured I'd put Jimmy's Bastards on. And it's by Garth Ennis, Russ Braun, John Kalis, and Rob Steen. And it was really Russ Braun's artwork that sold it for me. I think Garth Ennis is one of those writers who I think is good, but isn't always to my taste. In terms of, I think, if I were to make a scale from sort of intellectual snobbishness on one side and sort of popular hitch in the gutness on the other side, I would tend towards more the intellectual snobbishness, and Garth Ennis would tend toward more of the populist hitch in the gut side. But what we kind of both have in common is a love of subversion. So that's what attracts me to Garth Ennis's work, and I pop in and on it every now and then to check it out. This one was described to me, Jimmy's Bastards, as James Bond versus his bastard children. And you can see how that's something up Garth Ennis' alley, because it's pop culture, but it's subverting pop culture. That's what he seems to love to do, and he loves sex and violence and stuff like that. Well, like I said, it was the Russ Braun art and storytelling is what really sold this for me. Of course, it very much uses the James Bond sort of formula, but does some sort of but then subverts it. Of course, does its own thing. So it starts with a big opening, and I really like one of the things that you can always expect in a Garth Ennis book is a lot of imagination. So it starts with an opening, a terrorist blowing up, trying to blow up some sort of blimp here in London, and he's a Muslim terrorist, but then he starts saying Jesus Christ when he's in trouble, and which makes there's our James Bond. There's a lot of good page turn reveals in this by Russ. So he's kind of like, well, who's really behind this? You don't seem, you weren't a Muslim terrorist before 6 months ago. That's a little odd. And then we have another great page turn reveal here, and our supervillain, who is Theophilus Trigger, and he just shouts trigger words at people to try to get them to go to their safe space, I guess. And I guess he was influencing the terrorist guy. But I love, that's a great drawing by Russ Braun. Once again, he all throughout this book, he does double page spreads that you read across, but he does it the right way. You have to start the top panel here so you read across, and you can see there's no mistaking that you're reading across on this. And so many artists mess that up when they do it, and he did it perfectly every time. And I think there's another big page turn reveal here as we see the second villain of and this is all just the opening James Bond, action scene. The Bobo the Bastard, the Chimp Clown. So it's some kind of just look at that crazy face on Bobo with his brain there, and he shoots him through the. Like I said, once again, you're reading across, but you're never confused as what to read next, because there's no balloons down here. See, if he had put any balloons down here, your eye would go from here to here and not quite know where to go next. But there's no balloons down there, so your eye knows to go right over here and then read it like a normal comic book. And then he saves the day. Now we're sort of into the post, and there's all sorts of jokes in here. There's all sorts of like I said, James Bond type jokes and this is his latest partner, who he's seducing. And then of course we come into the I love Braun draws quite expressive stuff. And I also like the coloring by, was it John Kalis, who's a long-time colorer. I think they said over 20 years here, and I think he started coloring in the mid-90s. So I think he was there in the pre-computer days and into the computer days. But he knows. I like his coloring a lot. It's it's all chosen nicely. It's not overdone with stupid coloring effects. Here's our basic James Bond talking to Q, the gadget guy thing. Oh, there's the new car, goofy joke. Oh, look, the axe goes right into the driver's head. That's not too good. Like I said, this is the strange, imaginative stuff that you get from Garth Ennis, where it's this little tank. So you're going, you people. So it's just supposed to go in crowds and rile them up if you want to. So that's fun stuff there. Once again, the storytelling is impeccable. Keeps mostly to the grid, opens up to the full bleed only when he wants to. Give this panel a little more importance, then it's back to the full bleed. This is the kind of storytelling and layouts that I really like. The whole page isn't full bleed. He just gives you the full bleed where he thinks you need it. So, he gets his new partner here, who they sent the old partner who he was sleeping with to Georgia. Not the U.S. Georgia, but the old Soviet Union Georgia. So he gets a new partner who doesn't want anything to do with him sexually. So she lets him. This stuff you've seen before, but it's just so well done. James Bond is on top of that stuff too, going, "Hey, don't worry, I got plenty of other chicks. I can tell when a woman doesn't want anything to do with me." And we switch to a night. Like I said, some nice coloring here. It gets dark when it's supposed to be dark. It's nighttime out. He wants the scene a little dark, and it also doesn't get too dark. So I really like the coloring on here. The artwork's good. Then of course it ends with we get to this is interesting too. He was doing and he did this well. If you see this cathedral background, I think is all photo referenced, and it's done with a photo filter where you just basically make a graphic translation of the picture of the cathedral. I think that's how he did it. That's how I would do it, because it looks like that. But I think he did an excellent job with it here, because like I said, sometimes that gets, when guys photo reference stuff, it kind of gets low. But since he's drawing so much everywhere else, and he's drawing everything else in the scene, this photo reference ceiling is at the right perspective, and it fits in with everything, and it's not too overdone. So I gotta say, I even enjoyed that. That's, like I said, photo reference done right there. And of course we end with all the, who even knows what's going on here? These are just all James Bond's bastard children saying, "Get daddy, get daddy. Get daddy, get daddy." So that like I said, it wasn't, I like that cover right there. That's a nice cover. Who's that, Dave Johnson? Dave Johnson, he does some nice covers. He can really make an image memorable. Did he do this cover? See, this Dave Johnson cover is less memorable to me, because it's just kind of an introductory shot. It's just kind of him standing there with. I never liked floating head covers, but this isn't quite a floating head cover. It's in a design. It's not terrible or anything. It just doesn't catch my eye nearly as much as that cover does. I mean, that cover just kind of freezes a moment in time, where James Bond is standing. He's just finished his swing, and here come the missiles, and it's kind of like he just captures a beautiful frozen moment in time there, a beautiful scene that this, like I said, this doesn't capture for me. Though this is well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this cover. I just think the other one's, for number 2, is better. But overall, good comic. If you like a Garth Ennis, like I said, with Garth Ennis, I kind of know what I'm getting. I'm not a huge Garth Ennis fan, but I think he's good. It's just my taste that I'm not a huge Garth Ennis fan. But since he's good, I like to check in with his work every now and then, just to see what he's up to. And like I said, it was Russ Braun who put me over the top for this one. He did an excellent job with the art, and that's just a beautiful page turn there. And that's just another beautiful page turn with the introduction of the two villains. They're just so colorful and well drawn. But anyway, there's a little look at Jimmy's Bastards #1. Made it on my pull list. I think most of these are like 6-issue minis from Aftershock, so I'm pretty sure this one will be too. But if you're looking for something interesting, a little pop culture-ish, a little subversive, and beautifully drawn with beautiful storytelling, check out Jimmy's Bastards.